Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Modeling Mocs after a very long hiatus. I'm your host, LegoMan71, and while today's video isn't the continuation of the ongoing Built to Magnus storyline, which if you want to catch up you can find the playlist right here, I still think you'll find some interest in today's episode. We're going to be talking about a couple of mocks I've made a few months back that, while not directly impacting the story, are part of my main story involving my main characters and my self-mock Optimus Prime. Without further delay, let's dive right in. The Mocs, or the Multiversal Operations Coalition, is a group of dimension-hopping operatives whose goals are to discover, document, observe, and protect the different dimensions of the multiverse. Optimus Prime is the commander of this militia and often leads a main squad of members into battle. But before we dive too deep into that group, let's look at some of the bots who work behind the scenes of this operation. The communication center of the Odom, the Mocs base of operations, is how they stay in contact with their operatives and outposts across the multiverse. A team of under a dozen bots runs this sector, one of which we will look into today. Subwoofer is an optimistic Autobot with an upbeat attitude and a love for disco and pop music. As opposed to turning into a car or jet, Subwoofer's alternate mode takes the form of a large mechanical wolf. She works in the communications sector as a non-combatant, preferring to help from the sidelines rather than fighting. She spends most of her days bored, assigning specific roles to blank channels and creating new frequencies that others can encrypt for covert operations. In her off time, she works on a special one-way frequency where she plays her top music picks, and episodes of her podcast, Howlin' at the Moon, where she discusses her interest in off-world pop culture. Eventually, Optimus caught wind of this unauthorized radio station, and to her surprise, he actually enjoyed it, even recommending some songs to play throughout the day and giving her some movie recommendations that she could talk about on her podcast. He'd even spread the word about it to other members of the Mocs. While Subwoofer is the kind of bot who prefers not to rip people to shreds, she can hold her own in a fight, with some of her body parts morphing into sonic cannons when she is in beast mode. Her co-junks Endora or soulmate Nighthowler, on the other hand, well, let's just say his bite is as bad as his bark. Nighthowler is a combatant in the ranks of the Mocs, a ruthless one at that. From his bestial wolf alt mode to his retractable bladed gauntlets, Nighthowler rushes into the battlefield, ready to rip and tear through his enemies. When in beast mode, Nighthowler can emit a sonic howl that can knock even the Decepticon Juggernaut off his feet. When off the battlefield, Nighthowler is a brave scout and an excellent tracker. He negotiated with Optimus that he has a rotational schedule between deployments. However long he spends away from base, he spends enough time on base to compensate. That way he can be with his mate Subwoofer. During one of these rotational periods, Nighthowler learned that Subwoofer was having trouble getting enough rest between her duties in the comm room and her radio station. One night he had enough and sent Subwoofer to get some rest while he would run the station. However, they both have very different tastes in music. Where Subwoofer was playing pop and discotheque, Nighthowler played alt-rock and heavy metal. The day and night difference in the music became fairly popular around the Mocs. Nighthowler brought Optimus up to speed on the fact that Subwoofer was overworking herself with the station and how he couldn't always cover her when he was on his missions. Optimus suggested compiling a playlist of listener-suggested songs, sending it to play when they were both away, while sprinkling in some pre-recorded messages to break up the monotony, similar to how radio stations on Earth do it. He also suggested leaving it with a couple other bots in the comm sector that can handle the job for both Subwoofer and Nighthowler when they are busy. And that concludes today's episode. I want to thank you all so much for your patience. Over the past year, writer's block has hit me like a ton of bricks. Add on to that the fact that I am in between jobs, and on top of that, I'm a junior in college, still trying to figure out this adulting thing. I once again want to thank you all so much for your love and support. that you guys would sit here and listen to me ramble on for a little while. And I know I've said thank you about 3 times now, but once again, thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day. And I end the transmission now.
Game over.